Welcome, we have gathered your pastors to tell us jokes. Now the moment you've been waiting for.
Taco!
Now I got some questions to ask. It's Q&A time. What's a funny, most embarrassing story about you?
When I was about 10 years old, I prank called my grandma, who lived 2 houses down from us, and pretended to breathe heavy on the other end of the phone. It was completely stupid, and I scared her, and I ended up running across the field to her house to tell her, "Grandma, it was me on the other end of the phone. It was me all along." I felt like a total idiot.
I once was waiting for a teacher to finish her lesson so I could go up and individually help students after her lesson. And I was so sleepy, I actually dozed off kind of standing up and fell backwards and knocked over a whole shelf full of textbooks and made a giant noise, and all these little third graders were staring back at me, and I didn't know what to do. I just picked up the books and said sorry. It was really embarrassing.
I once was riding my red BMX bike. I was about 10 years old and out with neighborhood friends. Well, my mom wanted to be home by a certain time, so I headed home. And I suddenly had the need to go number 2 on my way home. Let's just say I didn't make it and possibly needed a new seat on my bike.
This was when I was in 7th grade. In school, we had silent reading time. We were all sitting on the floor in the gym, and I happened to pass gas during silent reading, and it was not a silent situation after that. The whole grade heard me. It was hilarious / really embarrassing.
We know sometimes you go on autopilot. Do you have a story about that?
So we had a meeting that we were supposed to do as pastors for lunch. We were going to go out for lunch. And so I was confirming it with Brian, and I walked into Brian's office and said, "Hey, we've got lunch at 12:30 today, right?" And he says, "Yep, 12:30. I'm like, "I'll be ready." Well, I got a phone call as I was leaving his office, and so I answered the phone, and a guy that I was ministering to a little bit asked me if I wanted to go to lunch, and I said, "Yeah, I'll go to lunch." So then I walked right from Brian's office to Tammy's desk and told Tammy, and says, "Hey, Tammy, I'm going to be leaving in about 20 minutes because I've got a lunch appointment with this guy." And Brian must have been able to hear because his door was open, and he just started laughing, and he's like, "Did you just schedule a lunch appointment after you confirmed our lunch appointment?" And then it dawned on me what had happened. I was a little embarrassed.
What's a funny or most embarrassing story about Brian?
Well, Brian loves to get moving around up on stage and expressing with his hands what he's talking about. And so one day years ago, he was getting ready to tell the story of the Transfiguration. And now he goes up on the mountain with his 3 main disciples, and he's going to rip off his robe and show his glory. And he did the hands just like he was doing that, not realizing that that actually has a different connotation in today's world.
You want to hear something really, really embarrassing about Pastor Brian Hurlbut? He likes country music, like a lot, and he keeps listening to it.
My most embarrassing story that I can remember about Pastor Brian was a prank we used to play back and forth on each other, which was throwing a dried pinto bean back and forth at each other. We obviously had too much time on our hands. But anyway, one day I threw it at him, and he ran back to chase me down, and he was going to throw it back at me. And the timing was just perfect, so I was in a hallway, and I went around the corner. At the same time, the copy repair man working on the copy machine at the church went into the bathroom. Brian went in there, assuming it was me, threw the bean at the guy, and shouted out like what was going on, and it was really embarrassing for the pastor.
Has Brian ever got something wrong, and do you have a story to tell about it?
Well, not too long ago, he was asked about olives. Yes, olives. And he thought the pimentos that are in the olives grew inside of them. And as a result, we all knew something that he didn't know. And it was a good day.
What superpower would you give Brian, and why?
A superpower that I wish Pastor Brian Hurlbut had was the ability to preach a 30-minute sermon, because he'd be doing everyone a massive favor.
It should be something similar to like the old DC comic Plastic Man, because he's always complaining about not being tall enough, and he could just stretch a little bit, and then he wouldn't be so insecure. At the same time, when he's getting too big for his britches, he could shrink a little bit and then be back down to earth like he needs to.
The superpower I would want for Pastor Brian would be for him to have the ability to instantaneously transport into his presence currently any of his favorite New York-based foods. And why? Just for fun, just so he could enjoy them.
Well, number 1 would be the ability to eat any seafood. So we can eat sushi on pastoral trips.
What superpower would you give Stephen, Aaron, Brad, and Rob, and why?
For Stephen, to run fast like Flash Gordon, since he goes out for morning runs. For Rob, to have night vision so he could hunt all his wild game at night. For Brad, to grow hair at will, just so he'll have hair. Aaron, to be able to flex his body like Gumby so his back never hurts.
Now, why did the chicken cross the road? To see you guys tell jokes.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Control freak. No, you say control freak. Who?
Control freak who?
Can you believe I was thrown out of church one time for saying that Jesus spoke with a lisp? Yeah, that was a real slap to the face.
How do chips and salsa stay in touch? They always dip into each other's lives.
Why should pastors be awesome at math? Because they work with a higher power.
And so here's a good question about a horse. What do you call a pony that's got a cough? A little horse.
Why are so many blonde jokes one-liners? So brunettes can remember them.
I just got hired at the guillotine factory. I'll be heading there tomorrow.
Why did the taco break up with the hot sauce? It couldn't handle the heat of the relationship.
I asked my pastor to join my heavy metal band. He said he couldn't because he could only lead in prayer.
Thanks for coming. Now it's time for the judges. Hey, Gabe.
Hi.
You got your scores?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm mad at Brian.
Okay, let's see them. Okay, so, Gabe, how do you feel about Steven's jokes?
I thought they were pretty good. For the first one, I gave it 8 out of 10.
Okay, now what about the next one?
And then the second one, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It's pretty close to a 10. I thought it was pretty great.
Okay, how about Brian's jokes?
Brian's?
Yeah.
Well, the first one made me mad because he joked about blondies, and I'm dark blonde.
Okay, what about Rob's jokes?
Rob's? Some sort of mid. I mean, the second one was like 3, and then the first one was like 7.
Okay, what about Aaron's jokes?
Aaron's? Pretty good, kind of close to Steven's.
What was your rating?
I rated them 6 out of 10 and 7 out of 10.
Okay, what about Brad's jokes?
Brad's jokes? Kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie.
What? Grace and the Wise, you got your score sheets.
It's right here.
So how did you feel about Steven's jokes?
Steven's jokes are beautiful. They were so original, and I just loved like how all of them usually included food. It's amazing. So
What about Brad's?
Brad's not bad, but pretty good, honestly. Could be better, could be better.
What about Brian's? The
Brian's-
Star Wars show.
You know, unlike his sermons, these are not very good. So let's move on to Aaron, how about?
Yeah, what about his?
His were pretty good. I liked his. They really made him feel like a youth leader, you know?
What about the last contendant, Rob?
Rob, he should go back to helping with the kids.
You got your scores?
I do.
Okay, so about the jokes, how did you like Steven's?
Steven's jokes were pretty good. I gave him an 8 out of 10 on both.
What about Brad's?
Brad's were also very good. Gave him a 9 out of 10 on one and a 7 out of 10 on the other.
What about Brian's?
Brian's jokes were terrible. I gave him a 4 out of 10 on both of them.
Now what about Aaron's?
Aaron's jokes were pretty good too. I gave him 8 out of 10 on both.
2 questions, Rob's.
Rob was hurting also. I gave him a 5 out of 10 on one and a 4 out of 10 on the other. They were pretty bad.
Thank you for the questions.
You're welcome.
And for our final scores is Steven!
Wow, what an honor. I would like to thank the judges, and I just feel so honored for this joking award privilege. Taco!
Are we good with talking about horses? Because I like horses, and horses make great jokes.
Tested a little testing of the testing test. Stuff, weird stuff.